Welcome to the Bare Marriage Podcast. I'm Sheila Ray Gregoire from baremarriage.com, where we like to talk about healthy, evidence-based biblical advice for your sex life and your marriage. And this is episode number
300.
300. I'm joined by my daughter, Rebecca Lindenbach.
Hello.
That's kind of cool.
300 episodes.
300 episodes.
That's wild.
And you know, the funny thing is when you look back, do you remember when we started?
Well, no, we were talking about this the other day. I forgot that we had started before even reading Love and Respect.
Yeah, like I started the beginning of January 2019. Yeah. So I had like 2 episodes. And then that week I read Love and Respect.
And then like the next 3 episodes were on Love and Respect.
And everything blew up from there. So it's like, yeah, we actually started before we did our major pivot. And then we did our major pivot right as the podcast was starting. So
yeah, we started as a To Love, Honor, and Vacuum podcast.
Mm-hmm. We changed the name of the podcast before we changed the name of the blog.
We did.
And we are now 300 episodes in, about 4 million downloads.
Which is amazing.
And counting. And more if you include YouTube, because we get quite a few on YouTube. And yeah. And it's just, it's been a wild ride. And so I thought we have something really special planned for this episode.
Yes.
And this has been nominated by our patron group.
Yes.
Which is that they really wanted for episode
vociferously.
number 300 that we would do a best of Becca.
Compilation.
Yeah.
And they're making me react to myself. It's awful.
Yes. So we pulled a whole ton of clips. Well, they chose the clips.
Yes.
And then your husband, Connor, who does our editing, put them in a compilation video that you and I are going to react to in a minute. But before we do that, I thought that we could just kind of take a step back and ask, what do you think has changed over the course of the podcast? Like, how are you feeling? How are you feeling?
Okay. That's a weird question because what hasn't changed in the last 6 years, right? We started this pre-Rona.
Yes, that's
like,
right. Pre-COVID.
This was pre-COVID. And so, and it's just interesting thinking about, I still lived in Ottawa at the point that we were doing the podcast. We were recording over FaceTime and stuff periodically. And we were just recording separate audio files that Connor was...
Well, I did most of the podcast myself.
You were editing
it was
the
just,
podcast yourself.
And it was just me. I was alone on most of the early podcasts.
Yeah, it was such a different experience than what we have now. But I really think that a lot of what it's easier for me to see how we changed in the last 3 years than the last 6. But in the last 6, I mean, some of it sounds real bad and some of it sounds real good. Like I would say that since we started the podcast, we've lost a lot of our faith in the evangelical church as a whole. Yes. I think we started it quite optimistically and still very much on the inside of it.
Yeah.
And 6 years out, we are we've been pushed pretty far out past the no man's land.
Yes.
And so that sounds like a negative to some people, but for me, it's actually quite a positive. It does feel a little bit.
Yeah. You know, I wrote about this on Facebook this week. And because one of the things that I've been noticing as I've been reflecting on episode 300 is that at the very beginning, when I was begging people to care about love and respect, every time we talked about it, we had so much pushback from people who loved the book. And that tended to be what happened. I was saying, look, please speak up. Yeah. When something is doing harm, we need to speak up. And I feel like for the first 3 years, that was my mantra over and over again. When something is doing harm, we need to speak up.
Yes.
Now, I think things really have changed in that if anybody on any social media platform mentions love and respect and recommends it, there are a ton of comments saying, no, don't. And so it's like it's flipped sides.
It has.
In that sense, which is really good. I think we were never alone. We were never the only one saying, please speak up. Like at the point where Great Sex Rescue came out, Jesus and John Wayne was also coming out. Making a Biblical Womanhood was coming out. And of course, the late Rachel Held Evans was doing this before any of us started. Like there always have been voices calling for people to speak up.
Yeah.
But I think what's happened now is that it's become okay to call people out. It has. So. It absolutely has. But at the same time, the patriarchy has made a tremendous resurgence. And so what was once considered fringe, like Doug Wilson, et cetera, has now become mainstream in evangelicalism.
And I would argue that, like, in many ways, they were fringe, absolutely. But I think that the last couple of years has really just been a revealing of what was already there.
Yeah.
I think that there's this feeling like all these people were never like this before. They were. It was just not front and center.
Yeah.
And that's something to that we've been grappling with as we go through all this too, with our connections in the evangelical world and seeing the shocking lack of care. And I know that our listeners are in the same boat and have been for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
But I think,
it's like you love Jesus,
but I think,
and you want church to be your safe space. So why isn't it? Like, what's going on?
And that kind of leads me to the positive that I've seen over the last 6 years, which is we've been talking about this for a couple months now, at least, where I feel like we are really at a point where the quote unquote movement has reached enough momentum and enough people that we're officially no longer in please speak up, please speak up, please speak up. We are still there if you're in it, but there's enough of us that we're kind of also like, what next?
Yep.
What now? Because they're not changing. We're now in the shake the dust. It's like we were in the you go to the city and you preach the gospel.
Yes.
And we were waiting with bated breath to see if they would do anything with it. And they didn't. And so now I feel like we're in the shake the dust off our feet time where we all get this kind of exciting but also scary moment where, okay, there are millions of us. Now what?
Yeah.
And I think that's what I've mainly seen in the last 6 years. And I think for myself, personally, I know my emphasis has shifted a lot from help the church be healthier. And I don't really focus on that anymore because I don't think that it's, I'm going to be honest, the churches that want to be healthy are doing it. Like, I don't think that it's a realistic goal.
Yeah.
I think what's realistic is helping people take accountability and responsibility in a radical way that allows them to be healthier.
Yeah.
And through doing that, we'll make the church healthier.
Yeah. And we'll find safer spaces. And
Exactly.
that's what I think is happening is I think that there is a splitting.
Yeah.
I think there is a splitting coming. I think we're in another Reformation and it's super messy to be in the middle of a Reformation. It's kind of exciting too, though. I mean, people are going to study this era in history forever. But we are in this splitting where I think that God is refining his church in the same way that he did in the 1500s, in the same way that he did, like every 500 years, the church majorly changes.
Sometimes for good reasons.
Sometimes for bad. Constantine, that was kind of bad, but kind of bad. Roman Empire. Yeah. Anyway. But like, I do think that there's a sifting happening where it's like, on the one hand, you have people who truly just want to run after Jesus they want to be healthy and whole. And on the other hand, you have people who do use Jesus's name and who I think they genuinely, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, But they
genuinely cling to the beliefs that they are not allowing themselves to look at with unbiased eyes.
Yeah.
So they are earnest in the fact that they believe strongly, but they're not being honest or earnest because they're not willing to examine those beliefs.
Yeah, and there's a whole segment of the church where their faith revolves around preserving power for some people and not for others. And I just don't think that's of Jesus. And so I think it's going to be really super interesting to see how this all plays out. Mm-hmm. Over the last 6 years that we've been doing this podcast, for the last 300 episodes, we have done 4 huge surveys.
We have.
We started with 22,000 women for the Great Sex Rescue. And then we did a survey of men for the Good Guy's Guide to Great Sex. We did another survey of women to see how their experiences in church circles as teenagers affected them long term. And then most recently, we did a survey for The Marriage You Want, which was our first matched pair, which was very, very super cool. And Joanna's been nerding out over the cool data stuff for that.
Yes. And what some of our newer listeners might not understand, because we did our first survey, it was 22,000 people.
Yeah.
And since then, I think we've done a combined 18,000.
No, it's more than that.
More than
it's about... Yeah, it's about 18.
Yeah,
18,
19,
but
so it's less than our first survey. And people are like, well, why?
Yeah.
Why? And we just have to tell you the quick story.
Okay, yes.
Which is, we broke SurveyMonkey.
We did break SurveyMonkey.
We were such a disruptor that they had to change their policies.
Yes, because when we did our first survey, you could do unlimited questions, unlimited respondents, and unlimited survey links.
Yes.
So we had
And boy, did we.
Yes. And so we couldn't even download our results. They had to download them manually.
They had to go into their FTP server. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
What is it? I forget what it is. File transfer protocol. They had to go in the back end, download us, and send it to us in a compressed file because there was too much data.
And since you can no longer do unlimited.
The next time that we tried to do a survey, they had a max.
Yes.
And you have to pay per respondent after that.
But also, we didn't need 22,000. Like Joanna always said, we didn't need that many. We actually only needed about 5,000 to be statistically significant. But we just wanted a lot just so that we could say that we did it many. Because we thought people wouldn't be able to dismiss us.
So you will never see a 22,000 person survey from us again. And it's because we destroyed we destroyed our ability to do
Although we use Qualtrics now. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
But still.
Yes, it was very funny. But as we've done those surveys, we found some really interesting data, and I think we've been helping people see that data matters, and that data and Jesus are not polar opposites, that not all science is biased. Like, people think, oh, you can just disregard studies because everything is biased. And it's like, well, Jesus did say he is the truth. So we've been having some fun educating people on that. And I think that's one of the big things that this podcast has done. And as you were thinking of what you want to do in the future, you really want to double down a little bit more on that, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what my life will look like and what my job kind of forward facing will look like the next few years. And so we're trying to figure that out. But I do want to challenge people to not allow themselves to get swept away with just whatever voices are near them. Yeah. I think that's the big one, is knowing who you are, knowing where you're going, and being in charge of getting there yourself, instead of just, well, pastor said, or this influencer said, and
And but increasingly, to get back to this idea of or combine evidence-based with also the splitting of the church, one of the funny things that I'm often experiencing is that people say, well, you just criticize everything. Like, there's no books that you like. And it's like, that's a weird flex, because on this podcast, I interview authors all the time because I like their books. Yeah. Like, I do like people's books. It's just that I don't like the books that are coming out of the side of the church, which is focused on maintaining power, because I don't think that's of Jesus. And so when your foundation is faulty, the whole thing's going to fall apart. And I seem to remember someone saying something about that, Rebecca.
Exactly.
About how you can't build a house on, what was it now?
A faulty foundation.
Oh yeah.
On sand.
On sand. You got to build it on the rock. And so, yes, when the thing that all the books that we criticize have in common is that they are based on the foundation that some people, that Christianity is supposed to be about upholding power structures, as opposed to about, loving one another. Yeah. And
actually just doing the things that Jesus told us to do. And it really is that simple.
Yep. So as we before we're about to jump into the best of Becca, but I have a few other things. The top episodes of all time. I looked it up. You want to know? Yeah. Sure. Should I go from number 5 up to number 1?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm not sure if this would actually be accurate if you combined YouTube numbers. They might switch places
YouTube
a little
numbers
bit.
Get wild. Sometimes things go really big on like the audio podcast, and they don't do well on YouTube, and vice versa.
Right. Okay. So the number 5 of all time is episode 136, The Uncomfortable Truth About Waiting for Marriage for Sex.
That was a good one.
Yeah. And what we were saying in that was that, couples who wait do have more instances of sexual pain disorders. Yeah. And so we have to grapple with the fact that
the way that we talk about this is causing harm.
Yeah.
And how do we better equip people who are saving sex for marriage to not be trapped in really bad sex that was a result of poor sexual education because of the expectation of abstinence?
Yes. So there you go. Okay. I'm kind of glad this one is number 4. And I think it might be so high because I'm constantly linking to it. But how the authors we critiqued responded to the Great Sex Rescue. Yeah. Yeah, that was episode 156. That was a year after the book came out, I believe. And I actually read a letter that I wrote to Gary Thomas on that one. And we talked about how Shanti Felden had reacted, Tim Keller, like all the lawsuit threats that we had. It was, that was wild. Number 3, Groomed for an Abusive Marriage, Alyssa Wakefield story.
Yeah, people loved that one.
Yeah, and there was a part 2 for that. So but that was a really, really interesting story about how she just grew up in a Gothard cult, and she was just kind of told she's going to marry this guy. He ended up being super abusive, and it was awful. Okay, number 2 was episode 192, How Every Young Man's Battle Makes Everything Worse, with Andrew Bowman and Zach Wagner.
Yep.
So I read some quotes from Every Young Man's Battle. We have a 1 sheet for it.
And if you have read that book and you haven't heard our take on it, you can go listen to it.
Yeah, and please, if you are in a Christian school that is using Every Young Man's Battle, in your high school for your sons, speak up and say something.
Yes.
And give them the one sheet, because this isn't okay. And then our number one of all time.
Yes.
Yeah. Is How the Power of a Praying Wife Can Go Horribly Wrong.
Absolutely.
And that one had our dear friends Sarah McDougall and Gretchen Baskerville on. Sarah McDougall's actually going to be joining us next week.
Yes.
As we do something completely different and we take a look at a fiction book. So Joanna is going to join me for that, because Joanna's our fiction person. I know she's also our statistician, but she's like totally our fiction person.
I have thoughts, and I would have been on this one, but my thoughts are not approved by the Bear Marriage team in terms of fiction. Joanna is the better option.
Yes. So Joanna's going to be on, Sarah McDougall, our good friend, Dr. Mary Lynn. And we're just going to be talking about the impact of Christian fiction and how it describes marriage. So super interesting on that. But that was our number one of all time. And of course, we do have a one sheet for The Power of a Praying Wife too.
Yes.
So yeah, I think people really like it when we talk about other books. And
and that's also, we get people saying like, oh, you just tear down books all the time. I was like, yeah, and people want it and listen, and it's healing and cathartic for them. Yeah. And it teaches them how to
critically think. How to critically think.
So if you want our non-talking about books podcast to do better, you know what you can do? You can go listen to them
and share
a whole
them.
bunch and share them a whole ton, or you can stop complaining.
Yeah. Then I have a couple of favorites.
Yes.
Okay, that I recommend all the time that aren't in the top 5, but I find myself linking to them all the time. One is our anti-obligation sex podcast that your dad and I did. So everything you need to know about obligation sex. One, I think you and I did it. The Myth of the Magic Penis.
We did do it.
The Myth of the Magic Penis.
Of the Magic Penis. Which was our best title of all time.
But it wasn't ours. A reader sent it in and said, you really need to do a podcast called The Myth of the Magic Penis. I'm like, okay.
Best title ever.
Yes. And our thesis in that was that the way that so many Christian authors talk about sex, it's this assumption that
the penis
she is just gonna swoon, and that this is all that she needs is the presence of a penis to
or
feel.
that the penis can magically change her identity simply by being around her.
Yes.
Yep.
And
I'm just saying, over the last 6 years, all I am saying is my Google footprint has wildly changed. Like
yeah. And then I really like the one that we did too on male-centric sex, where we just explained how it looks like a lot of Christian authors don't know about female orgasm, and they don't know the difference between, I don't really want to have sex, but I might be able to get in the mood, and like, no, I want to not have sex.
Yes.
And that they don't know the difference between those two things. And so we talked about that.
Like the difference between, I don't really care, we can go for Italian or Chinese, your choice, versus I am allergic to that food.
And then my favorite interview, I was thinking about this one, and maybe it's because it's the freshest in my mind, but I don't think so. Yeah. Because I remember after this interview, I called you.
Yes.
And I said, oh my gosh, I'm almost in tears.
Yes.
I love this one so much. But it was the one that I just did with Helen Painter on what the Bible says about divorce for abuse. What a wonderful woman.
Yeah.
And she was just so gracious. She was so pastoral. I watched that interview and I'm like, I want to be like her. I want to be gentle and gracious, but also so firm. Yeah. I just really felt that one was healing. Yes. So yeah, favorite interview. Do you have anything that stands out to you?
I mean, I think we're about to see some of my favorite moments.
Yes.
But before we get into I think just nothing is going to beat the title, The Myth of the Magic Penis. That really was just fantastic.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I think I know that the one that I get talked about from other people a lot are the ones that we did on modesty.
Yes.
Where we talked a lot about how it affects young girls and how the messages affected me as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old. I know that one that I did impacted a lot of people. So that was nice.
Yeah.
But
yep. Okay. Well, here we are. We have a long file of the best of Becca. And I thought what we would do is we would just watch it. And whenever you or I want to hit pause and comment, we will do that. But for everybody else, I really appreciate you on this podcast because you often are really funny. You can condense things really well. I've always said that if I was ever invited to debate, I would send you instead because you're better in the moment than I am. But because of that, I think a lot of vitriol comes your way because people get really upset with a young woman saying saying truth. you know, especially speaking truth to power. So this is just my way of saying, yeah, I'm totally with you, girl.
Well, thank you. For anyone who doesn't know, I never listen to the podcast or myself. I don't like rewatching myself, so this is also going to be tough for me. Yeah, so let's go.
I know. Oh, okay. Before we get into it, shameless plug. I also don't like to watch things that I've been on.
Yeah.
But we just recently filmed the video series for The Marriage You Want. We have a new 8-week video series for it. It's amazing. So it's like a small group curriculum. And this was one of my big dreams when we were talking about love and respect, is we just want to create healthy marriage curriculum where we offer everything they do, so that there is no need for churches to keep studying love and respect or these other books. So we now have, for The Marriage You Want, we have the paperback, the audio, and the ebook. And the audio is read by Keith and me. We have the study guide, which includes premarital curriculum, small group curriculum. It's great for just couples to work through together. And now we have this 8-week video curriculum. And if your spouse will not read The Marriage You Want, you can even get the study guide and just do this. Although please read the book. It's better to read the book, but this is great for small groups, whatever. But I never watch videos. And Keith watched them all just to make sure it was all fine. He's like, they're so good. You should watch them. I'm like, nah, I just don't know if I can. But I did. They're really good.
They're really good.
We hired out the production and it's so good. The trailer is so good. We're going to play the trailer at the end of this podcast.
I know, it's like The Marriage You Want cinematic universe.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, this is amazing. So please check out the video series.
Shout out to our videographer, who we hired.
Yes, it's really, it's not very expensive. It's perfect for your church, and we've got the link in the podcast notes. And so now I'm going to make you watch yourself on video. Are you ready?
Much worse quality video.
Yes. I don't know what episode number this is.
Okay.
Because I gave Connor like a bunch of clips that our patrons sent to us, and then he just put them together thematically. Are you ready?
Okay. What I said to you, I think, when we were chatting about it later was, it's kind of like if you were getting cleaning advice. Like we were in a group of, like, you know, moms groups always talk about, okay, what's your cleaning schedule? How do you keep things clean? How do you keep things organized? And one woman said, oh my goodness, the worst part of cleaning the bathroom is getting all the poop out of the shower drain. We would all be like, oh, wait, say what? Hold up.
Let's back that up.
Let's click rewind. Let's revisit this. We're not moving past this part of the conversation. I'm sorry, Marcy. What did you say? Like, I'm sorry. That is not my experience. I have cleaned many a shower, and I have never had to scoop poop out of a drain. And so, and similarly, when a guy is giving advice on sex and says, there's not really an easy way to tell if a woman's turned on, like, or there's no point in trying to turn a woman on because it doesn't really work. We should be like, hold up. You're giving sex advice. Are you pooping in the shower? Like, that's what we need to ask.
I mean, yeah. I remember you and I talking about this on a walk, and then you were like, "Oh," and then I said, "Oh, we got to put that in the podcast," because it's like you don't realize what you're admitting out loud, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, want to keep going?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, there's also this really weird thing.
Yeah.
That God gave us sex and marriage as, quote, the only way to protect our moral purity.
The only way.
The only way.
The only way.
It's really bizarre.
The only thing that is holding you back from being morally impure is a vagina. It's the only thing. Yeah. It's the only thing. Ignore all the other verses. Yeah. Yep. Okay. I'm sorry. This is a long video. I don't want to do like minute-long reactions to every single one.
Okay. Well, this one isn't actually from the Bare Marriage podcast.
Yeah.
The next one is coming up from when we were on Theology in the Raw with Preston Sprinkle, and we had been trying that whole conversation, you know, to explain to him that. Well, what?
Well, I think it's a very common reaction to the idea that girls should not be taught that boys are going to push their sexual boundaries, as people say, but they will.
Yeah.
Right. And so we have to prepare our girls to make sure that they know that boys are going to want sex. And the issue is that this belies an underlying assumption that boys are predatory and they can't help it. And what that does is it trains our daughters to not be able to see the difference between a boy who is predatory and unsafe and pushing her boundaries versus a boy who is actually going to respect her boundaries.
Yeah.
And she doesn't realize that there's that option in the same way. And so the red flags are neutralized. In essence, you're neutralizing your own daughter's red flag.
Yeah, and that's what makes girls who are taught this more likely to marry abusers as they grow up.
Yeah, exactly. Because it makes total sense. If you grew up being told this is just how boys are, and then a boy does that, are you going to think I should break up with him? This is unforgivable in this relationship. Or are you going to think, well, that's how boys are. I shouldn't be so picky. Yeah. So anyway, so we were talking about that for a long time. And then there was the emphasis on how so we were talking about this for a while, and then the host of the podcast was talking about how, there's this kind of point of no return for boys, in essence, where like if you get them going too much, like they can't help it.
And let's just join in here.
Tell me if I'm wrong. The point you're trying to refute, the guy being told the guy can't stop, won't stop, doesn't want to stop, they have a harder time controlling their lust, like that. Doesn't that kind of show, at least again in that one example, that it was the guy that kept kind of.
No, because it's not that he couldn't stop, it's that he didn't stop. There's a very big difference between didn't and couldn't.
Okay,
he could have
fair.
stopped. If a rabid raccoon had jumped into that truck and tried to attack his penis, he would have stopped. He was physically able to stop. It's just that he didn't think that a lack of consent was a good enough reason to stop. This is an issue of sexual entitlement. And the issue is that these ideas that boys are just like this, and boys will be boys, and boys can't stop, it breeds sexual entitlement. It teaches boys, yeah, you should try your best, but we know that you're just a guy.
Yeah, no, that's the wrong.
Yeah. And we actually created merch after that podcast because so many people kept
loved
quoting that rabid raccoon.
What you have to understand too is if you haven't watched the original podcast on Preston Sprinkle's podcast Theology in the Raw, is that this was at the end of like an hour-long interview. So we had been going over this point for a very long time repeatedly. Yeah. And so I just kind of was like, we have to put this in as extreme terms as we can.
Yes.
I miss my pink hair.
So
looking at these videos.
Yeah. So that rabid raccoon thing was that even made it into some news shows, news stories, I think, afterwards. Okay. Yeah. All right. Here's more pink hair. Ready?
Okay. Like, okay, so you don't actually believe a real man exists then. Like, you don't actually believe that men can just be competent. You think that we have to act like we trust our husbands because they're not actually trustworthy and for women only, right? They are the kind, like, again, do you know how immature it is to stubbornly drive in circles instead of just asking for directions or just checking the GPS? Do you know how immature that is? Yeah. That is like 17-year-old, I just got my driver's license and I want to show that I'm cool kind of immature behavior. This is not manly. And then this idea that I could slay dragons if my wife just believed in me. No, you couldn't, Gerald. That is one of the most quoted lines. No, you couldn't, Gerald. Our patron group, Geralds are getting strays left, right, and center in the patron group. No, you couldn't, Gerald.
Yeah. So let's just talk about the context for this. So it was this idea that if you just believe in him, he can do anything, right? Like a husband will rise to whatever you believe and trust in him to do, and he will become that. And you're like, no, you can't.
Well, also, like, I am just so frustrated by this idea that, like, you should pretend like your husband's a good guy. Yeah. It's like, or he could be a good guy. Like, it's not that hard. I just love this. Like, I could slay dragons if only. It's just Lady Catherine de Bourgh vibes.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes, I would have been a true proficient.
If I had had the chance to study, I would have been a true proficient.
Yes.
Piano, right? Yeah. And it's like, this is
Pride and Prejudice.
Pride and Prejudice.
Yes.
Yeah. If you don't know that, go be cultured and watch it and read the book. You know, 1995 version.
1995. Yes.
No, but this is the thing is it's so ridiculous when you actually point out what they're saying. Because there is no reason to not expect men to act like men and not because they're grown-ups.
Yes.
They're grown-ups.
Yes.
You can both be your spouse's biggest cheerleader, which you should be. Connor and I are each other's biggest supports. Absolutely. Everything that man does gets a standing ovation. Everything I do gets a standing ovation. Like, we go overboard, okay?
Yes.
Very extroverted people. At the same time, he is doing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm not like, wow, honey, you only slept in 4 hours when you were supposed to get up with the kids. That shows such growth. He's just getting up with the kids. Anyway, sorry. Then we're not doing a new podcast. We're reacting.
Right.
Let's keep going.
Next one. All right. And then later in this podcast, we have this famous one, which I think is my favorite.
Yes.
From you. Okay.
Yeah.
Ready?
I think this is one of the top 2.
Yeah.
Now, in this segment, my mom is reading a section of writing from John Piper.
Yeah. And
about
Wayne Grudem, Recovering Biblical Manhood and Womanhood.
Yes. And Wayne Grudem, about talking about how women can make sure they don't accidentally influence authority over men.
Yeah.
And they give this very shocking example of how a woman might do that.
Yes.
And I respond.
They have a real issue with women giving direction. So it's not just Shanti Felden. And here's what John Piper says, okay? It is simply impossible that from time to time a woman not be put in a position of influencing or guiding men. For example, a housewife in her backyard may be asked by a man how to get to the freeway. Like, where is her backyard? Have you ever wondered? Like,
well, I don't know. When I sit and I frolic in my backyard and just wait for men to ask me things, it's pretty common.
I mean, I guess
I think it's a pretty normal experience.
Yeah. At that point, she is giving a kind of leadership. So if she gives directions, she's giving leadership. She has superior knowledge that the man needs, and he submits himself to her guidance. But we all know that there is a way for the housewife to direct the man in which neither of them feels their mature femininity or masculinity compromised. It is not a contradiction to speak of certain kinds of influence coming from women to men in ways that affirm the responsibility of men to provide a pattern of strength and initiative.
Why are we putting so much energy towards stuff that's just so stupid?
I know.
Like, this is so much energy given to this, guys. Like, oh my gosh, he's asking a woman for directions. What do we do? Okay, it's okay. He can still be a man. It's okay. You're still a man. You're still a man. Sorry, I'm punching myself in the chest. Anyone who's not watching, you're still a man. You can still get a man and ask directions. It's okay. Just ask him in a manly way. My lady. I'm on a quest. I long to approach Kroger's Grocery Mart to attain
sustenance for my family.
Sustenance for my underlings. Prithee, shall thou help me in my adventure? And she says, oh, my lord. The legends speak of a land of Kroger. Through generations, the women of my family, as we spin around the fire, we chat with each other. We say, Kroger, Kroger, down the east, then 2 to the left, 2 to the left, then 2 to the right, and behold, Kroger shall be in sight. And if you are to follow that wisdom, oh my lord, can you please tell me, come back, prithee, tell me, come back, so that I can tell my family and we can sing your praises as the knight who made it to Kroger. Why? What on earth is this? Like, this is so dumb. None of this needs this much energy. You know what happens? Like, a man says, yo, you know where the Kroger is? Oh, yeah, you turn left on Bridge and then, right up McLaren's and it's, like, on the left about a kilometer up. Awesome! Like, it's not that big a deal. And you know what? No one suddenly wasn't a woman or wasn't a man. It's not like, and your balls shrunk 4 sizes that day. It was fine. Like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. This is one of our most quoted podcasts in the patient group of all time. Between Gerald and your balls shrunk 4 sizes that day. and me improving the milady.
Yeah. It's like, we often just don't have any idea what's going to come out of your mouth. You know the show Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yes.
Dad and I love to watch that.
I love Whose Line Is It Anyway.
We've always said, like,
Connor
if
and I used
anyone
to watch it when we were dating.
Yeah, if anyone could do a Dr. Seuss book on the spot, it would be you, because they often make people do that, right? Like, say a Dr. Seuss, line on the spot, and I think you actually are one of the few who could do that. I can't do it.
If I had any improv training, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Okay, all right. Okay. I have no idea what the next one's going to be.
I don't know either. But just any time someone is so obsessed with something like masculinity and gender roles and making sure he maintains power, it's just completely antithetical to the gospel of Christ. Mm-hmm. And so I personally think that when someone is so obsessed with making sure everyone knows, I'm a man, 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 I'm a manly man's man, I'm a man. Like, then what's their gospel actually about? Is it about serving the poor, helping the needy? Is it about being the hands and feet of Christ? Or is it about, stepping on everyone and making sure that you're taller, making sure that you're bigger, making sure that you have a spot? And whenever I see these kinds of people, I always just think about when Christ chastised the mother of two of his disciples, who were saying, "Who's going to sit at your right side in heaven?" Say, "What? Like, no."
That was John. We were talking about that. I know what podcast that was. That was when we were saying, "Can John Piper please stop talking about marriage?"
Yes.
And we were critiquing an article that he had just written, basically telling an abusive woman that she couldn't go to counseling or tell anyone else about it unless her husband agreed. And it was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Christianity had become all about maintaining these power hierarchies.
Yeah.
And it is crazy.
Yeah.
It is really crazy.
Yeah, John Piper's very obsessed with making sure that people know he's a man.
Yeah.
Yeah. People know.
Yeah, and if you have to make sure that no woman ever says anything smart around you so that you don't feel emasculated, maybe the problem is not with the women. Just putting it out there.
I'm just
putting it out there. And I also want to say, part of the reason that we make fun of this so much is because it is absurd.
It is.
And it's not normal, and they don't even realize it's not normal because they live in such a bubble.
Yeah, and I think that's I guess my job is to shock you out of the bubble.
Yeah.
With no one's balls shrunk 4 sizes this day.
Yeah. So. Like seriously, this is just not a thing in the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
I may be a bit of a radical Christian in this myself, but when I'm looking for a blueprint of how to be in whatever role I'm filling, Jesus is that blueprint. Because
call us radical.
Yeah, because you know what none of the other figures in the Bible are?
Our role model.
The literal Son of God.
Well, and also we are told to emulate Jesus. We are Christians, not Abrahamians.
He is the way. He is the path, the truth, the light. Christianity that doesn't revere Christ is actually...
Well, it isn't. It's nothing. That's the thing. It's just... It's not Christianity at all, because again, Christianity, Jesus came to show us the perfect way. To say, no, Jesus just isn't tough enough for me. Jesus didn't produce enough war crimes for me, and so I'm gonna go with the other guy.
Yeah. Jesus didn't do enough war crimes.
Holds up great.
Yeah, I don't know.
All I'm saying. No more commentary. Holds up that. We need a Christianity that's not based on some guy committing horrible atrocities.
Yes.
Yeah, we still do.
And we didn't introduce that one, but that was your husband, by the way. That was Connor. Okay. If your spouse comes requesting physical intimacy, your love should welcome them in.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? And it gives no caveat of any kind ever.
It's and here's what people don't understand. What they think is because they've made sex to be this good thing and talking about how it's intimate, you are close, you love each other, it's a sign of love, then they think that it's okay that they're threatening you. But if someone makes you a gourmet chocolate cake, chocolate ganache on the outside, and says, and this is a wonderful cake, it tastes so good, it was made by the finest pastry chefs in France, and if you don't eat it, I'll shoot your puppy. But also, it's a wonderful cake, and you're hearing off to the side. When you eat the cake, it's gonna be confusing, right? Because you're my taste buds are saying this is good, but my anxiety level doesn't like that. And that's what happens with sex, right? Where you have women being I don't know how I feel about this. Because on the one side, I like feeling like I'm loved, but I don't like sex, and I can't figure out why. Or I can't figure out why I can't orgasm. It's because someone's threatening to shoot your puppy. Making the threat pretty doesn't make it less of a threat. It just makes it more psychologically confusing. Yeah. I was which one's this? Oh yeah, it's the shoot your puppy one.
Shoot your puppy one. Yeah.
Again, this is the thing. What I want people to understand is a lot of these takes, they're great. There are other takes that never made it. I think
ones that I vetoed.
A lot of ones where she vetoed, where I'm no, too far.
But your point there, for people who might have missed the context on that, is that on the this is what Christian authors do, is they say to women, look at this wonderful gift of sex that God gave you, and don't you understand how wonderful sex is, and it's supposed to be this amazing thing, but also if you don't do it, your husband is going to watch porn, and he's probably going to have an affair, and he's not going to be able to be nice to you, and he's going to get short and angry with the kids. And it's like,
well, and we were talking about this a lot with it. This is a big shift in what's happening since The Great Sex Rescue came out, because a lot of authors are now talking about sex in a very what seems like a sex positive way.
Yeah.
Where they talk about how it's so good and women like sex too, and women have orgasms and you should have orgasms, and if you don't have hot enough orgasms, your husband will watch porn because you should be having the hot sexy orgasms and all the hot sexy new positions and all the hot sexy ways because it's good for you, because if you don't, everything will be bad because it's good for you. Yeah. And it's like, no, you haven't fixed the toxic teaching because you haven't removed the threat. It's like, it is, in my opinion, it is better to say, sex is fine, have it if you want, than it is to say all this stuff about how sex is great, but add a threat. Yeah. It's like, it's better to have almost like sex negative messages about like, I've never gotten the big deal about it. If you want to have it, I guess go for it. Yeah. That would be better because there's not a threat. Yeah. And even though that's obviously not a good message, because we need to be like educating people about sexual pleasure, especially for women. But that is a better message because there's not a threat implied.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Let's see what the next one is.
Yeah. It is okay. Like, you will be okay if an atheist has better sex or a better marriage than you. Like, you will be okay.
Yeah.
Jim Daly. Like, it will be okay. You will not spontaneously combust. Jesus is not going to see you when you ascend to heaven and meet him face to face and say, Clark and Tiffany from down the road, they were doing it like a little bit more than you, and so you failed as a Christian because you didn't have sex as much as that atheist couple down the road. Yeah. So you straight to the bad place. Like, that's not going to happen. He's not going to say, almost well done, my good and faithful servant, but you could have done it more. Like, and that's what a lot of this stuff seems to be. It's like, we have to own the atheists in specifically the marriage realm, or else there's no reason to be a Christian. And I was like, there are so many other reasons. And you don't need to lie about fathers. You don't need to lie about marriage. You don't need to lie about cohabiting. You don't need to lie about any of these things. You don't need to lie about freaking divorce muscles. I don't even know what that is. You don't have to do this. You can just be honest and say, hey, maybe actually Christianity should be about caring for the poor instead of...
And we can do things because we want to love Christ and we want to treat the things as sacred that he considers sacred without being super judgy to everybody around us too.
Absolutely.
Like let's just love people and let's honor God because we want to honor God, not because we want to.
And we'd be much better ambassadors of Christ if we did that anyway.
Yep. Yep.
It does bother me. It's like, and this is the thing where I think because like... Okay, the way that like Christian nationalism works, okay? Let's just name it for what it is this idea that we should be forcing our ways of life on all these people because it's better. And so how do we do that? Well, we advertise it as better. And we say, look how hot the sex is. Look how good everything is. Instead of us realizing, this is weird. This is weird. This is uncomfortable for everyone. Yeah. And one of the things that I've noticed working in the evangelical space, having done my education in the secular space, is evangelicals talk about sex so much more than secular people do. Yeah. Like, the secular world might be more open to talking about like sex as a generality, make more sex jokes, makes more of those kinds of things. But in terms of your personal sex life, I had so many friends in university who talked about sex constantly where I didn't know if they were seeing someone. Like, I didn't know like their personal stuff, but like they'd make sex jokes and stuff. Yeah. And what ended up happening is, I think in evangelicalism, because we tied Christianity to this nuclear family with great sex that she has every 72 hours under threat of marriage implosion. Right? We had to start becoming really inappropriately open about personal sex lives. Especially because this podcast is all about these fake statistics that people are throwing out and how they misrepresent studies. When you're not able to honestly talk about data, and when everything needs to be about being the best instead of just being about serving Christ, you end up having to use personal information and personal data because the data does not support it. Yep. The data does not support that having sex with only one person for the rest of your life is the best sex in the world. The question is it our job as Christians to have the best sex in the world or not? I don't think that's what the Great Commission was. The Great Commission wasn't go and make disciples of all nations so that everyone has at least 5 times of sex a week and you're orgasming more than the people who aren't disciples of all nations of Christ. That's not what it is.
Yeah.
So I think that's just my thing, is I think that we've normalized talking about our personal sex lives a lot more than we realize, because I'm so sorry, but like, not to you, but the generation above.
Yeah.
Your generation does this a lot too, I will say. I think that because talking about sex wasn't as normalized in your guys' cultures versus our culture that grew up with porn, frankly, there's not a lot of understanding of the difference of generalities and personal. It's like the sex is sex.
Yeah.
What does it matter if it's me talking about my experience versus us talking about, that movie?
Yeah.
It's like, because it's different.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly uncomfortable and it's violating, and
Yes.
it's not healthy to be talking about personal sexual experiences in a large group
Which
setting
is
this.
and we've done podcasts on this, why we
Yeah.
don't think the pastors and their wives should have to give
No.
sex talks to people, and we
It's
shouldn't
cruel.
assume that a pastor is a sex expert, and we shouldn't be asking them to share the most intimate details. And one of the things we really try to do on this podcast is not share personal stuff. Like we don't ever want you to be able to picture anything. Like no.
But also, it's not healthy, because we know from the data that like there are generalities and there are specifics, and if you're giving advice based on what specifically works for you, odds are it's not going to work for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, versus if you say, here's the data, here's where the trends are, explore and figure out where you are on the trends. It's just better. And then we wouldn't be in this weird having sex to beat the atheists way, because it doesn't need to be the hottest. It doesn't need to be, because it's about serving.
Yeah.
It's about serving others. It's not about owning and poning the sex moves.
I mean, I think that there's another aspect to it, which is that, so many people have adopted, especially within, the American Western evangelical space, have adopted evangelicalism because it does give them these bonuses, especially, for men. They get a relatively mediocre man can be in charge of a lot of things in a church that he would never get to be in charge of anywhere else. And then you get these promises that your wife is going to get to have sex on demand, and and then we're trying to attract men to church. And so the way that we attract men to church is, and we even shared that handout, that flyer that people put in mailboxes about, getting men to come to church, because then the wives are going to be obedient, and they're going to be, always have a smile on their face and stuff like that. It's like, it's really creepy what we're promising is, and that none of that's anything to do with evangelicalism, but that's, or Jesus.
Yeah,
but
it's got a lot to do with evangelicalism.
Yeah, but not
anything
Jesus.
to do with Jesus.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Next one.
Based on all the research that we've read, like the women who like sex most tend to have clinical stimulation. No, not clinical stimulation. Clinical stimulation is bad. Is this stimulating enough? Sorry. Okay, but they tend to have clitoral orgasms. Yeah.
All those moments.
Yeah.
Your hair looked good in that one.
I know.
Which hair do you like best? You still
don't
like
know.
the pink hair that was
Still
relatively shorter?
Still trying to figure it out.
You actually only have to attract the people that you would actually work with. You want to physically repel in some ways the sexist, the misogynist, et cetera, and because we do get questions like, how do I bring up egalitarianism like in a healthy way, or like without scaring him off? And it's like, if it would scare him off,
you don't want him.
You don't want him.
The best is when we get messages from people being like, we've been dating for 5 months. I've started to broach the topic of women, and he just kind of brushes it off. Like, I'm worried about ruining my relationship. Girl, I will come there and ruin your relationship for you. Like, absolutely not. You've been dating this man for 5 months, and you have not talked about whether or not he thinks he should be your leader.
Yeah.
I am so sorry, but I will come in there and like scream into your relationship with my full chest that like, if you're a sexist, get out now. This is exactly it though, and I say this in all love. You're doing it to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, and this is what makes me this is what gets me irate. Like, just so heated. Like, people saying like, I want to say this with all gentleness and all love, because like I know that people are people pleasers. I understand that on like an empathetic, not a sympathetic level. I cannot relate in any capacity.
Yes, people know that about you.
Yes, that's not a shock to anyone.
Yes.
Like I'm just like, how can you sit there for 5 months with someone who you don't know if they see you as a whole being, competent and capable of of independent thought, and be in love with them? At some point, we need, as women, we need to take ownership of this and realize we are doing this to ourselves when we choose these men and when we don't prioritize this over everything else.
And I think the problem is that in evangelical circles, it's really hard to find the men that actually do prioritize women. And if you're in a circle, and this is what we talked about on that podcast, where there are no men like that, you need a different circle.
Just get a different circle.
You just need a different circle.
And you know what? I also, like, and I know I got married so young. I absolutely did. Like, that was so lucky. I understand that. I also spent 3 years debating with men about women. And when those men asked me out, I was like, no. Like, there is a level where you find your people and you have to take ownership of it. And I just want to stop hearing women saying, I don't know how to bring this up, and start hearing women say, oh, I dumped him the second that he started being weird about this. Like, it's just, anyway, we just need to take ownership of this if we want anything to change. Because if we're just waiting around for men to change, it's not going to happen. And there are so many good men out there, and they're increasing by the day. And just find them, and don't let yourself be so caught up in making sure people like you that you don't ask yourself whether or not they're even worthy of liking you.
Amen.
Anyway, just, I'm tired, Grandpa. Like, just. In every area of religion, there's a lot of different areas of complementarianism where they all kind of disagree with each other a little bit, but the one they all agree on is that in an argument, the man has a tie-breaking vote because he has a penis.
Right. Which is, and I find this really funny, because is it really a tie-breaking vote means that there's a third person voting.
No, but his penis votes.
Yeah.
So he votes, she votes, and then his penis votes.
Yeah, I guess
that's why she can't have it, Mom, because she doesn't have a penis.
That must be what it is.
Yes. Because see, women have boobs. There's 2 of them, so it doesn't break the tie. The man only has 1 penis. Sorry, this is way too much. I don't know if you're gonna let this stay in.
Yeah, that one I didn't even put on Instagram. I just put it in my stories because I didn't want it to be like up there for everyone to see for a while.
Again, R.I.P. my internet footprint. When you read this, his focus is entirely on whether or not he's mommy's favorite, frankly. Like, it's weird.
Well, he just sounds like he's being positioned as another one of the children.
Yeah.
And so when you've got a bunch of kids, the attention gets divided up between all the children, and then when all the other children leave, you get to be an only child to your mommy wife again.
The mommy wife. Okay, but the accuracy hurts. Connor is we are biblically we are one flesh, so the best of Becca includes the best of Connor.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
To your mommy wife.
We need to get him on the podcast more. It's just always difficult with childcare and stuff. But
so funny.
We want to do a little bit of a pivot here, and we want to do an educational time. So we're going to actually let you go back to your baby.
Okay.
So that Dad and I can explain the sexual response cycle without you.
You're breaking the cardinal rule of our family. You can't say Dad and I are going to explain the sexual arousal.
Right, Greg and Stacy.
So that we just don't use the words like Dad and I or Mom and I. Like, it's just not okay. It's just fundamentally unacceptable.
Okay.
I stand by it. All I'm saying is I have been working on bear marriage for what? 9 years now?
Yeah, I think so.
Still have no interest in hearing Dad and I are going to explain orgasms. No interest. I can talk with my father for hours about the difference in orgasm rates with like vaginal penetration versus clitoral stimulation. Don't bat an eye. As soon as it's, well, your mother and I, la 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 la.
All right, here we go.
I mean, this is so hard when we're raised to, in essence, believe that you deserve to be loved if you're small, right? I think the first question that I would have for people who have massive body image issues when they weigh more than their husband is this because of something your husband said or what society said? Because like I know a lot of examples in just culture in real life where like the wife is like, oh, I feel so horrible, and he's like, yeah, that's a woman. So I guess my first question would be, you have permission to be loved how you are, and if you're married to someone who's like, I think you're hot, just let me think you're hot, then just let him think you're hot. Okay.
Yes. I think that's good advice. Yeah, let them think you're hot.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's actually fun looking back at all these.
I know, I'm looking at all my different like hairstyles too, and I'm like, okay, which one do we keep?
And these, I think more of these moments are later ones because the patrons found them. I'm sure there's a lot of really good moments on like the first 150 episodes. Absolutely. But we didn't have transcripts back then either, so it's really hard to find the clips.
It's so hard.
So these are ones that we could find the clips for. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, let's back up and say, how do we talk about vanity in these particular circles? Because these circles that I grew up in, right? These ones that I read everything. And we did talk, like, vanity was discussed.
Yes.
And it was discussed in really funny ways. Because my one that I remember all the time is like, don't compare yourself to each other. Like, vanity is not okay. You're all so beautiful. Everyone is just as beautiful as everyone else. You're the most gorgeous princess of God who is beautiful and perfect and wonderful, and you're so beautiful, and look at your appearance. You're awesome. And like really focus on how pretty God made you. But and that's why you shouldn't be vain. Yeah. That is not a vanity message. Like the message of don't be vain because you're hot enough. That's not the message that I think they meant to get across. Yes, absolutely.
Seriously though, Brio Magazine, I am sorry I forgot you that subscription.
No, it was great. I am so sorry. If you had not gotten me that subscription, they had some wild fashion fashion stuff in there. Some of it was good. All of it was better than what I was doing on my own. Yeah,
so this is true. This is true. Very, very true.
Absolutely.
Okay, this next one, Joanna's joining us. So we're going to see from Joanna for the first time. And this I think was in our Soul Ties one.
Yes.
Where we were talking about...
like having like these prayers to reduce soul ties and the prosperity gospel and stuff.
What is the practical thing I can do? We need to get back to that kind of an idea, as opposed to what I need to do is pray this particular prayer to unlock this thing. And then if I do that, then I have to go. And again, I have to go and interview all of my family members about their pasts so that I can know if I've gone back far enough and I've broken all of the bonds, and then I will feel better. Like that doesn't make any sense.
If you have to ask your great-grandma Mary about whether or not she had sex at 15, I think you've lost the plot. I'm just going to be really honest.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. I am all for it, not asking people very probing personal questions about their sex life. Yeah. All for it.
Yeah. Okay.
But these are like the dark romances, and that's actually the kind of sex that's depicted in the majority of pornography.
Right.
The vast majority of pornography is not happy married couple celebrates their 10th anniversary with a respectful 17-minute bang session, and then they watch Netflix. Like, that's not the majority of porn out there, okay? Like,
the patron group went crazy over that.
The majority of porn is not happily married couple celebrates 10th anniversary with respectful 17-minute bang session, and then they watch Netflix.
I think people made memes about that in the patron group. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny. Yeah. Suncoast Baptist is weird.
Yeah, and let's just read what it said on the back of the postcard. Oh, this is the one. This is the one I was talking about with the invitations that were put in people's mailboxes.
Oh, This is in a black hole in my brain that has been. I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, about the smiling wives and stuff. Okay, here.
Okay. Sure. In the past, being a dad meant loving your wife and raising your children with good old-fashioned American values. Oh. You taught your sons how to shoot a rifle and showed your daughters what to look for in a husband. However, in today's world, the role of the father has been reduced to the least respected role. At Suncoast Baptist Church, we still uphold those traditional American family values which come directly from the Bible and are what made America great. We believe in returning to a simpler time when biblical family values, where traditional fatherhood and biblical masculinity were the standard, and dads could be dads without having to apologize for it. I mean, to be fair, my favorite verse in Colossians is, teach your sons how to shoot a rifle.
I know. That's all I could think of. America. That's all I could think of when I read that.
That is wild. I do remember that. I do remember the shoot a rifle for America.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the handout that was put in people's mailboxes.
Going back to that whole thing where I'm like, why are we doing this? How does anyone fall for that crap? They're calling it biblical values to teach your kids how to shoot guns. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can call it American values. It's American values.
Yeah.
You can't call it biblical values. No. There is no Bible verse teaching about how make sure that your Christian sons are weapons focused and ready to shoot people on a dime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just not.
It's just not there.
No tolerance for that around here. There's a reason all these weird pastors are like, yeah, look at my smoking hot wife over there. Ha 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 ha. Bet you want her, but she's mine. It's like icky.
Yes.
Icky, yucky. No. Bad boy. Spray. Yeah. Like, a little water gun. Bad.
That's a Big Bang reference there. Big Bang Theory. Yeah, remember when Sheldon was trying to condition Penny?
I don't think I was doing it from there. I think I was just doing it from just cats.
Oh, from cats.
Like
okay,
just the real life.
Yeah.
I don't remember that episode.
Well, he kept giving her chocolates. But it was the same thing. Yeah.
Anyway, just so
chocolate.
funny.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, oh no, too many women at church. Oh no, too many men at church. Like, maybe it's because you footballified services. Like,
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So then he's staying on this topic of how women are just getting super picky. They're even thinking that marriage may not be for me. They're not making it a necessary part of their adulthood. And he's saying, and then when they do date, they treat it like a job interview.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that they have a checklist.
Yeah. Yeah. It's called like not wasting 4 years of your life or accidentally being with someone who doesn't believe you should have rights.
Right. And he says like throughout history, the norm has been arranged marriages, but now people get to choose. And when people get to choose, women seem to think it's okay not to get married.
By golly, it all started when we let them into the universities. And the universities, they started to think they could think. And when they started to think, they think they could have a brain for themselves. And what are we supposed to do with the woman with the brain with herself? Well, we don't know. We gave them lobotomies in the 60s, but what would we do now? By golly gee. Okay. Someone alert the policeman. Every now and then. Thoughts start. And I'm not able to stop them.
Yes. That, of course, was our episode on why Al Mohler talking about why evangelical women are no longer marrying evangelical men. And we had thoughts.
We gave them lobotomies in the 60s, but now what do we do? By golly gee.
And now we have the last one.
Oh, the last one.
You're not actually in this one.
I am not.
Your husband is.
Yes.
So this is actually my favorite moment.
Of the entire podcast. I know exactly
ever.
what moment this is. Connor's also quite proud of this moment.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to back it up. We'll start again.
If you are a husband who wants to make your wife happy, and you know that there is this thing called orgasm, and you're writing books about marriage, why wouldn't you spend at least a sentence or two saying, hey, this might be something you might try and give your wife because it's a good thing.
But he never ever
it never
once mentions.
It never comes out. Does it come up in
mentions.
this podcast at all about female orgasm? Does that come up at all?
No. You know what he does say, though, which I think is another red flag, is he says, you can't tell if a woman is turned on.
Okay, before...
Oh my
gosh! That'll go in the blooper reel.
Wait.
I'm sorry. You can keep going now.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, so in Eggerichs' defense, was this like a
I just can't tell if a woman's turned on.
So that was totally unscripted. I just took a glass of water at exactly the wrong time. And that was honestly the first time that I had ever heard that Emerson Eggerichs said that. You can't tell if a woman is aroused.
Well, because you had told Connor, you had gotten this podcast sent to you from someone, or you found it some way, and you were like, I just don't have time to go over this. Connor, can you do a summary? And then we'll, in essence, just have you on the podcast to describe what's going on.
Yeah, and then
Mom had no idea.
No, I didn't know this was coming.
I did, because Connor had told me, but Mom did not know.
And so that was just a great moment. And then of course we've talked about that since, including in the myth of the magic penis, I believe, and male-centric sex. But yeah.
Connor, that was one of those moments where Connor was down in his office working, and I hear his chair scooch, and I hear dum 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 upstairs. Rebecca, I have something to tell you. what we were saying about, like, just do they realize that they're telling on themselves with this?
Yeah.
It's full circle. We have poop in the shower moment at the beginning, the first one we reacted to, and then Emerson Eggerichs as the last one. Emerson Eggerichs is fully admitting he poops in the shower.
He is.
And we need to just recognize that this can no longer fly, because this is just so embarrassing.
Yeah.
And again, people, I think, get really afraid to talk about this stuff because they're like, yeah, but what if people like criticize me? I'm like, then don't talk about yourself.
Yeah.
Then don't talk from personal experience.
Yeah.
Look at the research. Get your data from reading about other people's experiences, not your own. And I don't mean one-offs. I don't mean the creeps who... pastors. Look at me, pastors. Pastors. I do not mean... Connor, when you're here, if it's possible, zoom in on my face because I want this to be heard. When I say to learn about sex from other people's experiences, I do not mean the men who come to your office because their wife won't have sex with them because they don't know where the clitoris is. That is not the people whose experiences I'm talking about. I'm talking about research, okay? You have permission to ignore the creepy men in your church who are saying, I can't handle all the teenagers wearing bikinis, okay? You have permission, pastors. There are people whose experiences are not as valid as other people's. Creepy, pervy men, you don't have to listen to them. You do not need to base your theology of sexuality around those men, okay? Just, that's all. I just want to say that. Not everyone's experiences are as valid for instruction.
Yeah.
Okay? Some people serve as warnings. This example with Emerson Eggerichs serves as a warning. We do not loudly proclaim to the world that you can't tell when someone's aroused, because that is embarrassing.
Yes. That is saying that you poop in the shower. Exactly. Let's just use peer-reviewed studies. Let's use evidence. Let's use data. And let's get back to what Jesus really intended. And that's what we do here on Bare Marriage. Yep. Thank you for being with us for 300 episodes. Maybe this has encouraged you to go back and listen. Maybe if you've just joined us in the last year, there's probably a backlog of episodes you can listen to that are awesome. And yeah, we are so grateful that you're here on this journey. If you want to be part of this conversation in the background, of course, you can join our patron group at patreon.com. That's Patreon with an O. So patreon.com/bare marriage. The link is in the podcast notes. And it's just a really fun place to hang out. There's guys who make awesome cartoons and comics, and it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. And it's also a great place to go for support as you're deconstructing this stuff. But yeah.
This podcast was also a bear of a podcast to edit. So everyone in the comments say, thank you, Connor.
Yes.
Good job, Connor.
Yes. Good job, Connor. And thank you to my team. Dad wasn't in very many of these because it was the best of Becca. And usually you're talking to me because we don't have a 3-mic setup. We're going to have to get one. I think in our new home, we're going to have a 3-mic setup pretty soon. But Dad, of course, is a really important member of this team as well. He's got some great lines too. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. As we end this podcast, I actually want to end it with the trailer for our new video series.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, so we're going to play the trailer. You'll see how good quality it is. And then we'll put a link to our 8-week video curriculum for the marriage you want, because together, all of us, we can change the evangelical conversation about sex and marriage.
And if you're listening to this, we'll also link the trailer so you can see it in the podcast notes.
Yes, we will. So, because it still sounds good, but it looks better. So we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye. What does it mean to actually know your spouse?
All right, babe, you got to take one of these. Now, is that fair? This is going to be the first of an 8-part series. So the studies that we've done have been looking at what people believe and what people put into practice and what the outcome is for those marriages.
So we decided to go big or go home, and we've done 4 massive surveys. 78.9% of couples make decisions totally together and do not give the husband the tie-breaking vote.
Every valley shall be raised up, every mountain and hill made low.
Both need to be putting your all in, because a lot of us are afraid to speak up.
Just letting your spouse hear that and know that. You can let each other into your emotional worlds.
The point is prioritizing the ingredients of great sex.
Noticing what your spouse likes, what your spouse needs. That's what keeps that romance, that spark alive in your relationship. We hope you enjoy doing them together as a study group, and we just wish you all the best as you create the marriage you want.